Every Who down in Whoville liked Christmas a lot, but the Grinch, who lived just north of Whoville, did not.
So sue me!
The Grinch hated Christmas, the whole Christmas season. Now please, don't ask why. No one quite knows the reason. It could be that his head wasn't screwed on quite right.
Is there a right way to screw a head on?
It could be perhaps that his shoes were too tight.
That's the last time I wear bishop shoes.
But I think that the most likely of all may have been that his heart was 2 sizes too small.
That's my daddy.
He has no heart at all.
But whatever the reason, his heart or his shoes, he stood there on Christmas Eve, hating the Whos, staring down from his cave with a sour, Grinchy frown at the warm lighted windows below in their town. For he knew every Who down in Whoville beneath was busy now, hanging a mistletoe wreath. And they're hanging their stockings, he snarled with a sneer.
I must find a way from keeping Christmas from coming here.
For he knew all the Who girls and boys would wake up bright and early. They'd rush for their toys. And then, oh, the noise! The noise! Oh, the noise! That's the one thing he hated! The noise! The noise! Noise! Then the Whos, young and old, would sit down to a feast. And they'd feast. And they'd feast. And they'd feast. And feast. They would start on Who pudding and rare Who roast beef, which was something the Grinch couldn't stand in the least. And then they do something he liked least of all. Every Who down in Whoville, the tall and the small, would stand close together with Christmas bells ringing. They'd stand hand in hand, and the Whos would start singing. They'd sing and sing. Oh, they'd sing and sing and sing. And the more Grinch thought of the Who Christmas sing, the more the Grinch thought, I must stop this whole thing. Why, for 53 years I've put up with it now. I must stop Christmas from coming. But how?
Tomorrow is Christmas. It's almost here. I must stop Christmas from coming. I know just what to do.
The Grinch laughed in his throat, and he made a quick Santa Claus hat and coat, and he chuckled and clucked. The Grinch looked around, but since reindeer are scarce, there was none to be found. He just needed a reindeer. Did that stop the old Grinch? No, the Grinch simply said.
If I can't find a reindeer, I'll make one instead.
So he called his dog Max.
Max! Oh, Max!
Then he took some red thread and he tied a big horn on the top of his head. Then he loaded some bags and some old empty sacks on a ramshackle sleigh, and he began to hitch up old Max. Then the Grinch said, "Giddy up!" And the sleigh started down toward the homes where the Whos lay a snooze in their town. All their windows were dark, quiet snow filled the air. All the Whos were dreaming sweet dreams without care. When he came to the first house in the square, this is stop number 1. Then old Grinchy Claus hissed, and he climbed to the roof, empty bags in his fist. Then he slid down the chimney, a rather tight pinch. But if Santa could do it, then so could the Grinch. He got stuck only once. Well, for a moment or two. Then he stuck his head out of the fireplace flue, where the little Who stockings all hung in a row.
These stockings are the first things to go.
Then he slithered and slunk, with a smile most unpleasant, around the whole room, and then he took every present. You're a mean one, Mr. Grinch. You really are a heel. You're as cuddly as a cactus and as charming as an eel, Mr. Grinch. You're a bad banana with a greasy black peel. You're a monster, Mr. Grinch. Your heart's an empty hole. Your brain is full of spiders. You've got garlic in your soul, Mr. Grinch. I wouldn't touch you with a 39.5-foot pole. You're a vile one, Mr. Grinch. You have termites in your smile. You have all the tender sweetness of a seasick crocodile, Mr. Grinch. Given the choice between you, I take the seasick crocodile. Then the Grinch very nimbly stuffed all the bags, one by one, up the chimney. Then he slunk to the icebox. He took the Who's feast. He took the Who pudding. He took the roast beast. He cleaned out that icebox as quickly as a flash. Why, that Grinch even took their last can of Who hash. Then he stuffed all the food up the chimney with glee. And now, grinned the Grinch,
I will stuff up the tree.
And the Grinch grabbed the tree and he started to shove when he heard a small sound like a coo of a dove. He turned around fast and he saw a small Who, little Cindy Lou Who was not more than 2. The Grinch had been caught by this little Who daughter who'd got out of bed for a cold cup of water. She stared at the Grinch and said,
Santa Claus, why? Why are you taking our Christmas tree? Why?
But you know that old Grinch was so smart and so slick, he thought up a lie and he thought it up quick.
Why, my sweet little tot, these bulbs are from eBay. They won't light on one side. So I'm taking them home to my workshop, my dear. I'll fix them up there, and then I'll bring them back here.
And his fib fooled the child. He patted her head, and he got her a drink, and sent her off to bed. And when Cindy Lou Who went to bed with her cup, he went to the chimney, and then he stuffed the tree up. And then the last thing he took was the log for their fire. Then he went up the chimney himself, the old liar. On their walls he left nothing but hooks and some wire, and one speck of food he left in the house was a crumb that was even too small for a mouse. Then he did the same thing to the other Who houses, leaving crumbs much too small for the other Who mouses. It was 1/4 dawn, all the Who's still abed, all the Who's still a snooze when he packed up his sled. Packed it up with their presents, the ribbons, the wrappings, the tags, and the tinsel, the trimmings, the trappings. 3,000 feet up the side of Mount Crumpet, he rode to the tip top to dump it.
Hoo! To the Who's!
He was Grinchishly humming. They're finding out now that no Christmas is coming. They're just waking up. I know just what they'll do. Their mouths will hang open a minute or two. Then all the Who's down in Whoville will all cry, boo-hoo. That's a noise, grinned the Grinch.
That I simply must hear. That I simply must hear.
And he did hear a sound rising over the snow. It started in low. It started to grow. But the sound wasn't sad. Why, this sound sounded merry. It couldn't be so, but it was merry. It's very merry. He stared down at Whoville. The Grinch popped his eyes. Then he shook. What he saw was shocking surprise. Every Who down in Whoville, the tall and the small, was singing without any presents at all. He hadn't stopped Christmas from coming. It came. Somehow or another, it came just the same. And the Grinch, with his Grinch feet ice cold, in the snow stood puzzling.
Christmas must not come from the store. Christmas, perhaps Christmas means something, a little bit more.
And what happened then? Well, in Whoville they say that the Grinch's small heart grew 3 sizes that day. And the minute his heart didn't feel quite so tight, he whizzed with his load through the bright morning light. And what did he do? He brought back the toys and the food for the feast. And he went faster and faster.
If we look for what is wrong with Christmas season, we can surely find it. Like the Grinch, we can grumble and complain, becoming cold and cynical about what we see around us. Nevertheless, if we look for the good, we can see this time of year with new eyes, perhaps even with the eyes of a child. The Grinch saw the good in Christmas when he learned to look past its worldly trappings. If we do the same, we can, with the Grinch, proclaim, maybe Christmas doesn't come from a store. Maybe Christmas perhaps means a little bit more. Our heart may not grow 3 sizes as the Grinch's did, but our heart will change. Our eyes will open to the miracles all around us at Christmas time and throughout the year. I pray that each and every one of you will have a wonderful and Merry Christmas season.
Get another round of applause for good job.
Still on the table.
Oh.